Hello folks, and welcome to a rather unscheduled video, I suppose you'd call it. It's going to be low on production just so I can get it out there quickly as per the Sunday video. And relating to Sunday, in that channel update, I talked about a new upcoming video series which I like to call Music Alerts, in which I will briefly talk about that week's releases, whatever that might be, whether it's 10 pieces of vinyl or a solitary CD. You're going to have feast and famine, I'm sure. So Music Alerts is designed to be a pretty simple, straightforward show and tell kind of thing. But before I get there, I would like to do a few videos looking at my backlog of bits and pieces, mainly vinyl and CDs. I do get the odd cassette, but not this time. So in this particular one, I'm going to be looking at CDs. Now, last week I did 4 consecutive days of news, previews and reviews, mainly vinyl based. There was a few bits of CDs in there. Now, I posted those on my website and I was going to do the same this week, but I thought I'd shake it up a little bit, and instead of text based, I thought I'd do a video presentation. So at least you can see the things alive, as it were, and there's stuff here that many people may have missed when these things were originally released. They're all fairly recent-ish, within the last few months, at least, I suppose you can say. I may include, there's going to be, as I say, simple production values. I may include some scans for you, though, so you can freeze your video and you can read the notes or the track listing at your leisure. Now, I don't know how many of these I'll be doing before I start Music Alerts proper, so this might be a limited series, and I'm going to call these Backlog Beauties. Oh, and before I start, I'll put a few contact links for record labels, websites and bank camps, if necessary, down there. So if you want to find out more, that's where you need to look. Anyway, let's begin. And the first is this dual-cased release from the Observer All-Stars called Dubbing with the Overseer, and it's on the Dr. Bird label. Now, this is a 2 CD collection packing in 50 tracks. And as I say, I'll put some scans on the screen just so you can look at the close details and check out the track listing and all that jazz. The tracks here were produced by a guy named Niney, or Niney the Observer. Why Niney? Well, this guy had a bit of an argument with a saw when he was younger, and he lost a thumb, hence Niney. These tracks were recorded by the one and only King Tubby. These are all dub tracks, as you might expect. However, 22 of them are new to CD, and they span a small period of time, quite an intense period between 1974 and 1976. Next up, we have Stackridge and the self-titled debut. This one is in one of those digipacks. Very nice it is as well. And in the sleeve here we have a, hang on, let me bring it out. We have a booklet. So this is the debut album from 1971, and the band were formed 2 years previously, actually, in 1969. This was originally released by MCA. This is a 9-tracker, and this release appears with a B-side bonus called Everyman. But that's not all, because you get 3 John Peel Top Gear session tracks from that same year, 1971. There's actually a nice story told within these liner notes about the bass player James Warren. He was approached in a pub, and in the pub he was asked to join this new band. And now James was rather flattered, as I'm sure you and I would be, and he agreed. And then he found out later on that he was the only guy in the area who had a decent bass amplifier. But that's the kind of thing that happened back then. Next up, we have a trio of releases from, well, the main company is Rockstar, but this is a couple of imprints, Broken Silence and Coco Mojo. These are direct from Germany. And I've got, as you can see here, 3 compilation CDs. So each CD is in like a card, a fur, quite matte, multi-fold out gatefold, and there are liner notes. Actually, there's no separate booklet here. There are liner notes actually inside the gatefold itself, and there is, hang on a minute, let me bring it out. There's a CD in a little sort of wallet fashion. In terms of content, well, I have 28 to 30 tracks apiece. All are rarities of a sort, or if not truly rare, then they're not often seen around and about. All focus on high-energy proto-rock, pop, surf, R&B, soul, that kind of thing. So first up we have Summertime Scorchers Volume 4. So yes, there's been a few of these already. They include tracks from the likes of Tony D, Hank Price III, Bobby Harden, and Mickey Marlowe. Now, devotees might know Nicky Marlowe, but she was a singer and a model. Well known, actually, in the 50s, and she was associated with a radio show called the 950 Club, the 950 Club in Philadelphia. I think the radio station was WPEN, and that was a kind of early American bandstand kind of show. That gives you an idea of the people involved on these compilations. Next up, there's Black Pearls Volume 2, and that adds a little bit of doo-wop to the R&B mix. You got people like Dusty Wilson, Oscar Boyd, and Johnny May Matthews. Now, Johnny May Matthews was a lady, a singer, and a pianist, but she also founded in 1958 the Northern Record Company, and she was often referred to as the godmother of Detroit soul. So an important figure was our Johnny. And the final part of this trio is particularly badly timed because it's a Halloween compilation called Hallow Scream 2. It has a subtitle, The Horrors of the Black Museum. It's all of a type, isn't it? This one includes well-known names like Otis Spann, Screaming Jay Hawkins, no surprise there, and one Johnny Devlin. Do you know Johnny Devlin? Let me put it another way. Are there any people out there from New Zealand? Do I have any viewers from New Zealand? I'm sure I do. Do you remember Johnny Devlin? Well, you should, because Johnny Devlin was your country's very first rock and roll star. So I would love to know if anyone from New Zealand remembers Mr. Devlin. Next up, another trio, and this time all of them are in jewel cases. They are from the UK outfit Jasmine. And we start with Jerry Reed, The Early Years, Part 2, 1958 to 1962 specifically. So this is the last part of a duo of CD releases that looks at Reed's early career called Holly Gully Guitar. This is a 34-track compilation, and it's especially interesting, I feel, because it includes 24 tracks of his own work, but also 8 tracks of the man as a session guitarist. And next we have Hey Mr. Cupid, the Joe Melson story. Now, rockabilly man Melson was a songwriter. He was also a singer, but arguably more famous as a songwriter, specifically for Roy Orbison. Remember Only the Lonely and Crying? Well, they were written by this guy, Melson. Now, actually, Melson did lead a band called the Cavaliers, and he cut a number of singles on the Hickory label. And finally, another compilation. This one is devoted to Les Paul and Mary Ford, and it's called How High the Moon. Is it called How High the Moon? Yes, it's called How High the Moon. And it's a compilation. It's a compilation of US top 20 hits. Very nice indeed. Change of pace now, and the label Pressure Drop. And a compilation, another compilation, a sort of career retrospective, really, by the band Bad Manners. This one is called The Singles, 1980 to 1989. And it's on a sort of multi-fold out, gatefold digipack. And as you can see, 3 discs in this one. So what we have here are 63 tracks with a chronological order flowing across the first 2 CDs. And what do I mean by that? Well, you get on CD 1, track 1, the band's first single A-side. Next track is the B-side for that first single. Then we have the second single, A-side, then the B-side, and so on. And that carries on over 2 discs. And then the third disc, well, that features a host of 12-inch mixes. The included booklet is also rather fun, and it's full of little gems that will amaze and delight fans of the band. And I've been rather neglectful, haven't I? Because I didn't tell you what sort of music, in case you didn't know, that Bad Manners played. Well, they were sort of modern version of ska, kind of that two-tone era back in the 80s. A band who are not ska at all is Lindisfarne. In a broad sense, I suppose, 70s kind of folk rock, would you say, Lindisfarne? Anyway, this is a beautiful box set in a slipcase, so all the CDs sort of fall out in that direction. You can see there. And what we have here is an 8-disc CD box set that features the band on numerous BBC radio programmes. It's called Radio Times Live at the BBC 1971 to 1990. So we have BBC recordings like Sound of the 70s, John Peel Sunday Concert, a live recording at the Lincoln Festival in 1971, that's a bit of a rarity, Top Gear, Johnny Walker's show, Alan Freeman's show, one called Full House, which I kind of half remember. In concert, we have Richard Skinner's show, also live at the Newcastle Town Hall, and even Paul Jones's Rhythm and Blues show, which would be in the 1990 part of the set. There's a wide variety of sources here, so I would expect sound quality to be varied, shall we say. Each CD is placed within its own numbered card sleeve, while I draw your attention to the excellent 43-page booklet. This booklet is full of interesting facts and nuggets. Like, for example, the author of this booklet, well, it's Chris Charlesworth, and he wrote this in July 2022. And he mentioned the time when he last saw the band in the mid-80s and they were playing in a pub in London, the Half Moon pub in Putney. And the band appeared in a, well, rather successful sold-out 5-night run. And they were paid £5,000 for the privilege. So that meant, if you broke it down, that was £200 for each band member per night. And the landlord, well, he was canny. I think in the essay he was described as canny, this landlord, because he paid the band in cash. And then he kept the bar open after the concert. And what happened? Well, basically the band spent most of their cash at the bar. So the landlord got most of his cash back. Next up we have Tracie, called Souls on Fire. The recordings 1983 to 1985. This one appears on Cherry Red. Now, anyone remember Tracie? Well, you'll find her in this very nice clamshell box. And we have the CDs and we have a booklet. Now, I was madly in love with Tracie back then because I had a girlfriend at the time who looked exactly like her. So for me, my girlfriend was on TV singing her little heart out. Kids, eh? So this is a 5-disc collection, 4 CDs and a DVD of promo videos in, as I say, a clamshell box. And you know, now somewhere out there, I'm sure, because I'm sure I saw it halfway through a kids program, there is a pre-recorded promo video of Tracie with, well, she was a protege of Paul Weller, and Paul Weller was with the Style Council at that time. So she was like, I don't know if she was like a guest singer with the Style Council, but there is one which is more of a sort of live in the studio thing. And it's the Style Council with Paul Weller, and they're singing Harvest for the World. So this is not the one I'm thinking of. This is one that's actually on YouTube. This is sort of in the studio, as I say. And it's funny because Tracie sings her bit of the lead vocal, and then 2 of the other guys in the Style Council, they sing their part. And then Paul Weller, he has his bit. But my God, he sounds like 10 decibels louder than everyone else. He makes the rest, I mean, very powerful, forceful singer is Paul Weller, but he makes the rest sound like children. But anyway, back to this box set. So what you've got is my girlfriend's 2 albums plus a host of bonus cuts. So we have 24 tracks, I think, that appear on CD for the first time. And finally, on the Grapefruit label, we have a compilation box set called We're an American Band, A Journey Through the USA Hard Rock Scene, spanning 1967 all the way through to 1973. A very interesting time. And again, we're looking at a clamshell box. This is a 3 CD set. it's a kind of a birth of collection. So birth of hard rock as we know it. And again, we've got a very nice booklet. So there are important tracks to chart this story, and there's also lots of rarities and well-known names as well. Well-known names like Todd Rundgren and the Stooges and ZZ Top and MC5 and the like. But what about Boulder Dam, spelt D-A-M-N, or Sir Lord Baltimore, or the Savage Resurrection, or the Bubble Puppy? What about Society's Children? And it's these rarities, that's the reason I'm paying the entrance fee for this particular set. There are all kinds of rarities here and lesser known bands. And the 47-page booklet included here, well, that's very important indeed to put all of this into context. Take Society's Children. Now, you might be clued up with rock in that time period, and you might say to yourself, oh yeah, I know them. Well, I'm not sure you do, because there were two Society's Children. There was the one you may know, which was a rarity in itself, a lesser known band. But this is another one, even rarer, I'd probably say. Now, this particular band was from Lansing in Illinois, and I think there might be another Lansing out there in the US. From Michigan, maybe? Tell me if I'm wrong. Anyway, I think this Illinois version was a small village. And the main songwriter, he was on guitar. My voice is going, so please excuse me. Anyway, the main songwriter was on guitar. And there was a girl singer. And who was this girl? His mother. His mum was on lead. His mum had the lead vocal. So interesting. I think this particular guy, this guitarist, he had a previous band, and in that band were two cousins. So you like to keep everything in the family, this guy. Anyway, this particular track is called Mr. Genie Man, and it's like fuzz-laden hard rock, and it's incredible. So you want to check it out. It's amazing stuff. And that's it, folks. I have gone on way too long. It was going to be a 5, 6, 7 minute thing. I was just going to do a quick look, and it's dragged out. Now I'm going to do another one of these, hopefully tomorrow. I'm going to shorten it down because, look, I'm learning as I'm doing. So, as I said, so yeah, need to trim. So I will hopefully skip through much faster with the next batch. Now, before I go, please, if you can click on the like and subscribe button below. Just keeps this channel ticking over. That would be very welcome indeed. And that's about it. You know, all the usual stuff down in the description, all kinds of links, my site, Patreon, Facebook group, etc., etc. Anyway, I will see you hopefully tomorrow, God willing. So let's see what happens. I don't know. Hopefully it will be. Anyway, see you then. Until that time, folks. Bye-bye for now.